Alrighty, as we usually do, we start off the segment of Hotline with Mayor Gardner Mike Nicholson. And thank you for being our guest once again, Mike.
Thank you, Steve. I'm always happy to be here.
And this past week, what happened in the city of Gardner? A lot of things.
Yeah, a lot of things. The end of the week before, I had a last-minute invitation to go and have a private meeting with the president at the White House. So I had to go fly down to Washington for a little bit. But it's neat to see Gardner getting national attention that way, to have an invitation from the president himself. Yes. I think that's very, very cool. You look at how much we've been able to do with federal funding in the past, our roadways, all the $5 million work at the airport that is completed now. All of that was done through a federal grant and some funding from the state, but $5 million of that came from the feds. It's all things that we didn't think of. The transmission line at the water treatment plant that's set to be constructed soon this year, that was another federal grant that we received too. Dan Coe, who used to be the chief of staff for Boston Mayor Marty Walsh, had run unsuccessfully for Congress and then was Marty Walsh's chief of staff at the Department of Labor in the president's cabinet, now works as the personal assistant to President Biden. So I think some of the attention got to the Oval Office that way too. So it was a good meeting, and I'm just really proud of how much Gardner's been able to accomplish and just to get that attention.
No, that is fantastic, really. How many cities in the Gardner area, other than Gardner, in the Commonwealth, get that opportunity to talk to the president about local issues? That's very important.
No, exactly. And it shows that, the old saying, all politics is local.
Yes.
And if you got a pothole, you got to fix the pothole. I think that's what it comes down to. So it's neat to have those conversations with, the actual president.
Right.
Yeah. But other than that, things were very, continuing to go busy. We've got the Christmas in the City event coming up this coming week on the 21st. Not only is that the horse-drawn carriage rides now, but we're hearing that Holy Family Academy is going to be selling cookie and cocoa over in Bullnose Park by the Velvet Goose. People may remember in years past we had what's called the main event, where the downtown businesses stayed open later. They have combined that event with this one there too, so there'll be some extra things going on in the downtown. We'll have the free carriage rides. We've been notified by Triple T Family Farm that they're bringing 2 carriages because of how popular the Christmas tree lighting carriages were. So,
really?
There's a 2-seater that's there for people who are looking for a free date option. I'd say cheap date, but this one's we took care of that for you. And then there's a 12-seat carriage there too. And Santa Claus will be meeting with people. He'll be going around on the carriage. So if you want to talk with Santa on the carriage, you can. And then
take some pictures too.
Take some pictures too. And then Santa will also be, we think, going to some of the downtown businesses to take some pictures with kids too. So if you're looking for a nice place to meet Santa and ring in the Christmas season, it's going to be really cool there.
Now, sometimes I know that you're always on the budget issue, taking a look at the budget, not only budgetary time, in the mid-time of the year, but you're really on top of everything for the entire year. That's very important to keep Gardner in a good financial shape.
Yes, and it's very timely you asked this. This past Thursday, we actually sent out the new budget memos to the department heads too. And it's hard to believe that, we just passed the budget, it feels like, in June, but here we are working on next year's budget for the fiscal year 2025. One of the things that we're doing different this year is I'd like to change the way we present the budget to the public and to the city council. Looking at some of the awards that are available for cities and towns out there, one of the awards that's available is how you present that budget, and does it really show a clear, transparent picture of where people's money is going towards. So I'm going to try to be modeling this year's budget after the budgets recently submitted by the city of Amesbury, who was recently awarded that budget award. It's going to be a lot thicker and a lot more detail with it, but I think the public deserves that detail to see why we're spending what we're spending and what builds that up. And so one of the things that I've asked the department heads to do is submit their normal budgets to me. And how that normally goes is I send the budgets out to the department heads and say, give me 2 things. I want a wish list. If money was no object and you could pick the most efficient and ideal way for your department to run, what does that look like? Now give me the actual clear picture. This is, you get 2% for salaries, and you get what is it you absolutely vitally need to keep your department going. And those 2 things I'm still asking the departments for this year, but additionally on top of that, I've asked them to, if you could cut 3% out of your non-salary expenses, what would that look like? And the reason for that is we're hearing a lot about Gardner needs to be more marketable with our employees here. We need more people for the DPW. We need more people for our non-union staff positions across the building, the city, fire department, police. We're all underpaid. And we have an ongoing salary study to figure out what we need to be at. So we also need a plan to figure out how can we build up to that? Even if it's not a full funding in the year 1, how can we at least build up to try to get there? So seeing if that can find a way to save us some cost measures. Doing the quick math just on non-salary expenditures that are not contractually obligated, so not our debt, not our contract stuff that we can't cut, it would save the city around $120,000 just in cutting 3% from all of those discretionary expense line items. So hopefully we can find a way to build up and really find a way to make Gardner more marketable, so we don't run into a situation where we're worrying if streets are going to get plowed in time, the grass is mowed, and things of that nature.
Now, the same process goes for the actual schools in Gardner, too? You're asking for their budgetary preferences?
Budgetary preferences and what possibly could get cut at the schools is a question that we're asking, but that's a little different, too, because there's different statutory requirements as to how much we can fund the schools, because the state says you have to spend X number of dollars per student, and that's what we call minimum net school spending. And if we don't hit that, we actually run into serious legal trouble with the state. So we can't just say a discretionary cut 3% for me like we do with the other departments, but we are going to be trimming where we can.
All right, and of course the Gardner school system is doing fantastically. The new school, too, is wonderful. Everybody talks about that.
Oh yeah, the new school's tremendous. Everyone who's come in, be it for the Athletic Hall of Fame induction that we had, when the governor and the lieutenant governor came out here, everyone, I don't think anyone has not been impressed when you walk in that building. Additionally, you look at the other things around the school, the Gardner High School Marching Band and the Gardner Chorus just got back from Disney World. They got to have a concert of themselves, they did performances out there, they did master classes. So you get that at the high school, and then at the elementary school, over a third of the students there, just in grades 3 and 4, are now in their band programs there. Gianni DeVilli and Jack Mellish had their first concerts in their roles leading the Gardner Middle School Chorus and Band. Those were this past week as well, too. So and that's just the music side. Then you get to sports, and you see how well our sports teams did this year with the football team, last year's basketball team and hockey team. Soccer and field hockey made it to the champs this year. Same thing with the cheerleaders. There's a lot to be proud of here.
And one of the things that everybody also talks about is the cost of electricity.
Yes.
What's the latest status on that?
So you want to make sure that you remember, too, if you got a bill in November and it seemed higher, that's normal, because the bill you get in November is for the electricity you used in October. So our new rate is a lot lower. It's about 10 cents lower, so you're saving a dime per kilowatt hour. However, you're going to see that in the bill that you get next month because it's your first meter read. So once you get your December bill from National Grid, that's where you'll see that reduction come to play.
And the tax rate, too, you have combined really the residential and business tax rate. It's the same.
Yes. So we're at that $14.99 across all classifications of property. So business properties and residential properties are all the same here in Gardner, and that's something we're really going to try to strive and continue to do.
And that helps to bring in businesses because they say it's an economic, we know what we have to pay.
Yes, exactly. So that helps just paint a clearer picture for everyone, and it's better planning for sure.
All right, anything else you want to mention? I know that the holidays are coming up, the new year.
Yeah. Speaking of the new year, one of my roles as mayor is I get to serve on MART's, the Bus Systems Board of Directors, and I was recently reappointed as the chair of that board. One of the decisions that was recently voted on by the board, and it's made up of one member of the elected officials from each of the 23-member communities, voted to have full free bus service in the MART area from January through June of this coming year. So beginning January 1st to the end of June this year, the state has given MART a grant of about $300,000 to have full fare-free rides for all fixed routes and ADA routes in the MART region. So I think that's going to be very positive, but we're really pushing people, if you can ride the buses, go ahead and do it. If there's a reason why you don't, let us know too, because MART is in the process of updating their bus routes. And they're actually adding stops here in Gardner. So I'll be going to the city council to add a couple bus stops, one particular in the downtown next to the White Dog printing building near Mackey Park, adding a new at Vonley Howe Park, I believe is what the marker there says. So we know that's already one that's being added, but where else could we use these? Where would they be helpful? So we're looking for input on that.
And of course, MART is hooked up to the statewide transportation.
Yes.
Too, so that helps too.
No, absolutely, 100%, yeah. And other than that, just, I want to wish everyone a very Merry Christmas. Hopefully things go well with everyone with the weather, and we don't know if it'll be a white Christmas yet, but, we'll never know. And then a Happy New Year. Look forward to seeing those of you who are going to the ball that the Centennial Committee is doing on the 30th. And if not, I wish everyone a blessed and happy Christmas and New Year's, and I look forward to being with you again in the next year.
All right, on that note, Gardner Mayor Mike Nicholson, thanks for being our guest on Hotline.
Thank you all very much. God bless.